Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody joining us today. We're so grateful that you tune in to this Microsoft Ignite session, Leveraging Tech for Good, Empowering Nonprofits in the Global Pandemic. My name is Dux Raymond Sai, and I'm so excited that we'll spend the next 30 minutes with you sharing awesome stories on how technology is enabling nonprofits and also opportunities for everybody to help out and contribute as well. As you know, the impact of COVID-19 on the nonprofit community is unprecedented. It has affected the capacity and sustainability of every nonprofit all over the world, from education to the environment, affordable housing to mental health services, animal welfare to the arts. No organization will emerge unscathed. But again, thanks to amazing people and wonderful technology, we're seeing a lot of difference that's being made. So to kick off, I'm so glad that we have a lot of esteemed colleagues from different parts of the world. We have Folian, Sam, Xing, and Mario, where all of us will be sharing stories on the impact of technology through a lot of different nonprofits. So to kick it off, Xing will talk about how she's helping and working with the Boys and Girls Club of America and through technology be able to equip a lot of kids in the US. Xing, over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Xing Yu and I am a Director of Product Management for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. I'm a product owner of My Future, which is a digital platform that helps Boys and Girls Clubs across the country deliver a high quality club experience, both in person and through virtual programming. I also serve on our organization's COVID-19 task force and work very closely across all of our divisions to ensure that we are aligned and supporting local clubs throughout this time. So a little bit about Boys and Girls Clubs. There are over 4,700 club locations who typically serve 4.6 million young people annually. There's a Boys and Girls Clubs in every congressional district in the United States and on native lands and on military installations around the world. And so in the last year, technology has become absolutely critical in order to serve the young people who need us the most. When the country shut down and schools went remote, the Boys and Girls Clubs really had to tailor their responses to their local communities. And across the country, we saw really three big themes. The first was access and connectivity. Many of the kids we served did not have stable access to the internet and devices at home to connect to their school and their friends. In many cases, if there were devices at home, they were being used by the adults or the older teens in the household. But we found that younger kids also needed a device to complete their schoolwork on as well. The second theme was that clubs really needed to provide virtual programming for kids who could not physically go into their local facilities. And so while some clubs did stay open throughout the spring to serve the children of essential workers, those facilities served a lot less kids overall due to social distancing and other health guidelines. What this meant was that clubs really had to change their delivery model completely, and many of them started to offer additional meal services and household supply drives to provide necessities for kids and families. And many clubs started to offer and started to pivot to virtual programming. And so during this time, we went from 0 clubs and offering virtual programming and virtual services to over 3,200 club sites offering virtual programming. And third, we really needed to provide a safe technology solution for clubs to use with their members in order to deliver their virtual programming. And so the My Future platform was built for clubs. And although it was originally designed for in-person use, we had just completed an Azure migration and infrastructure upgrade last year, which really positioned Boys and Girls Clubs of America to be responsive to what we were hearing from clubs when the country shut down. And because of this, we were able to develop and release new features very quickly to help clubs deliver virtual programming. I think in those first 2 to 3 month period, we were able to release 15 new features and make upgrades and enhancements to 22 existing features to really allow clubs to use My Future for their virtual programming needs. And just a quick plug, we actually rolled out a completely new design for the website last week that will really help clubs continue with their virtual and their in-person offerings for young people. And so the shift to virtual programming definitely wasn't easy, But because clubs were able to leverage technology platforms out there, including My Future, they were able to engage their members, they were able to track their data to see what was working, and maybe most importantly, they were able to see what wasn't working. And so because of this, they were able to make real business decisions on what they needed to prioritize in order to serve their communities throughout this time. And so without access to this data, many of these decisions would have been much more difficult to make, and it would have been much harder to see the impact of the work, especially at the leadership levels. And with the school year starting, some clubs are adding virtual learning centers, which are really spaces for youth who may not have access to technology or internet at home so that they can connect to their schools. And so this has been an incredible challenge. Boys and Girls Clubs are typically an out of school time space and after school space. And there are clubs that are now open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and clubs that offer a mix of in-person and virtual programming. And so, of course, they can only do this through technology and with the support of their donors and volunteers. So how can you help and how can you get involved? So if you want to get involved with the club, you can head over to our club finder at bgca.org and find your nearest local club. If you're looking for ways to help with some of our technology platforms at the national level, feel free to reach out to me. And if you're looking for ways to help other nonprofits in your community, the biggest piece of advice I have is to reach out to them and have a conversation, see what their current challenges are and what they really need. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach here, but the biggest step is making that initial connection. So thank you so much for the time, and I'm going to turn this over to Foyen to talk about her work with Textiles.
Thank you, Xing. And Foyen, before you jump on, I want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, feel free to pop it in the Q&A. We would love to get your feedback, your thoughts or questions, or if you want additional ideas, all of us are more than willing to jump in and share our thoughts as well. So with that, Foyen, on to you.
Thank you so much, Do. All right, so my name is Foyen Olajide-Bello. I work with Sterling Bank PLC in Nigeria as an Office 365 program lead. I also do a lot of work in the modern workplace and in the Power Platform. I am also a community lead for the Power Platform user community here in Nigeria. And I'm here to talk today about Textiles. Now, one of the most important things that has become evident to everyone is the importance of upskilling. With the global pandemic, we realized that some skills will not be needed anymore, and some skills become more relevant and more important as we continue into the future of work. So what we do is a community for women, and we're currently over 300 women supporting each other on the Power Platform, learning how to use the different Power Platform tools and basically getting in-depth knowledge in the Microsoft stack. Now, why is this important? Through my community journey and as a lead in the past 8 to 12 months, I've discovered that a lot of women are not very active in the community space, and not necessarily because they're not brilliant, but they're just swamped with so many responsibilities, especially in this side of the world. They have to do a lot of things. It doesn't matter whether you're running a career or not. In this side of the world, it's expected that you still fulfill your duties as a wife and a mother without necessarily getting support. So we've seen that these women are not able to come to be their best, and the purpose of Textiles is to help and support them, right? We're sharing our stories around the world, stories of women who have thrived and excelled and done amazingly well. And listening to these stories will help the younger generation and the younger women, help them more, like get better and all. So yes, that's what Textiles is about. And we have our sessions, our monthly meetup, our one-on-one sessions, supporting girls and ladies. And this has really been fantastic. We've had different ladies who had no knowledge of the Power Platform, rolling out tools and building their first applications. Like the attendance portal that you see up here was built by a lady who had zero knowledge of the Power Platform. When she joined Textiles and attended the one-on-one sessions, she was able to build this app on her own. And what this app does is it helps organizations track attendance. So with the old age of working from home and remote work, it's important for organizations to know what is required for them, where their employees are at every point in time. So what this app does is it tracks locations of the employees. It helps the organization know which employees came into the office and what time they came. So these are the type of applications that the Textiles have been able to roll out. And this has really been amazing and an incredible journey for us and for all the women. We have mentors all around the world, and they've all been supporting and holding the younger generation of ladies who need to learn, who need guidance, who need encouragement, who need to know that we've been there before and we have excelled. Our last session, we had Shirley, who has 25 years of experience in the tech industry, and she has sustained her relevance thus far. So seeing someone at that age and that stage writing exams and still thriving was a real encouragement and an inspiration to the younger women and myself. So my tip is this: we're all going through this global pandemic together, and it's important that we support each other, right? So it's not just enough for you to upskill yourself, right? Upskilling yourself is a great idea, right? Fantastic. But let's pay it forward, right? Let's pay it forward. Let's help the next person around us. Let's help the next person acquire the skills that will keep that person relevant in that job, keep that person relevant in his or her society, and even position this person to get the dream job that he or she desires, from being just an ordinary employee to a thought leader to a value creator within the organization where he or she finds herself. Thank you so much. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you. What an amazing story. And again, folks are encouraged to join Textilers. You saw the Twitter handle, you look it up, and you'll be able to get in touch with Foyen as well. So next up, we have Mario. Mario's going to share two amazing stories and the work that he's been involved in Brazil. So Mario?
All right. So thanks. Hello, my name is Mario Trentin. I'm based in São Paulo, Brazil. And I am a volunteer since I was 9 years old. And I can tell you that the nonprofits need a lot of help. I started carrying boxes from one place to the other. And then I ended up as a board member at some international nonprofits and nonprofits here in Brazil. And as Dux mentioned, today I'm going to present two fascinating case studies. The first one is about ITAX. So this is an alumni organization, an alumni association, focused on transforming education here in Brazil. And as you can see on your left, there were very exciting projects before the pandemic. So rethinking labs, engineering, seminars, rocket design, aircraft design, this kind of stuff. Very interesting, but this was all in person. So everything was in person. And the pandemic hit very hard, ITAX. The board members and the staff, they could not meet or work. So adopting Office 365 was very crucial to their business continuity. In fact, at the time, in April, because of ITAX, I realized that nonprofits were in terrible danger. Most of them do not have technology or management maturity. So the nonprofits, they do not have the same resources as the corporations. So I decided to help NGOs more in a sustainable way. And with the help of other volunteers, other Microsoft MVPs, and other people in the community, we were able to help other nonprofits. The other example is the Maggie Foundation. So Maggie Foundation is another large nonprofit here in Brazil. And we started creating resources, creating articles, videos, guidance to these nonprofits. So in the next slide, we have the Maggie Foundation. And as I mentioned, this is a well-funded and well-structured nonprofit here in Brazil. We helped them last year in 2019 with their long-term strategic planning using Project Online, Power BI, portfolio management. But again, nonprofit impacted all the projects. So most of the projects were not feasible anymore because they were focused on in-person education or this kind of stuff. And the foundation was able to respond very quickly, changing their strategy and their processes. But then we found another problem. They could redirect all the resources to feed families, as you can see in the picture. They created this portal, One for All, umportodos.org.br. but they didn't have any software to track donations and to track the people who were in need. They tried to find off-the-shelf software, but there was none. And the alternative was to build something from scratch, hard coding, which would take months. And we were able to leverage the Power Platform, the Citizen Developer Revolution. So using a combination of Forms Pro, Power Apps, Power Automate, we were able to create a system that tracks everything since you fill the first form and then all you have until you get the donations. In 3 weeks or less, we were able to complete all of that. And you can see the transparency, so providing visibility and transparency to track the donations, which helped getting even more donations. So finally, what you can do to help, you have the links, one for all link and also ITX links. I encourage you to visit and also to become a volunteer. And I also wanted to invite you to join the Humans of IT tech community or connect to any other tech communities. I am interested in building more sustainable resources. We have a lot of people creating manuals, courses, and I believe that we have to become even more multipliers so that these nonprofits have access to the same technology as the corporations. And now Sam.
Thank you, Mario. Sam?
Thank you, Mario, and thank you everyone for speaking before me. Warm welcome to everyone watching Ignite today. For the past 12 months, I've had the real privilege of working with many non-profit organisations and NGOs, and some of the UN organisations as well across the UK and Western Europe. I've really been humbled and inspired, to be honest, by the way that these organisations have handled the challenges imposed by the pandemic. So my name's Sam Spilsbury. I'm the Azure specialist in Microsoft's Tech for Social Impact department, and we're a dedicated team of technologists who work exclusively with nonprofits and charities. The story I want to tell today really kind of typifies the kind of challenges that I think every nonprofit organisation around the world have faced over the last 8 months or so, and that's really the challenge of trying to do more with less. And how do you answer that question? So in the UK, when we were in lockdown, if you'd opened your window at 8 o'clock in the evening on a Thursday night, you would have heard whistles, cheers, raucous applause, everyone leaning out their windows going absolutely crazy. And it was because every community was united in showing admiration and appreciation for our National Health Service and the organisations that are working on the front line to respond to emergency calls as the population struggled with the impact of COVID. And one of those organisations, the organisation I'd like to talk about, is St John Ambulance. So St John Ambulance are a volunteer-led first aid and health charity, and they were supporting the National Health Service in responding to 999 emergency calls. So they were really working on the front line. And therein lies the challenge that they immediately faced, which was they were working on the front line, so most exposed to COVID, and they were volunteer-led. So as a lot of these volunteers started to potentially come down with symptoms of COVID-19 themselves and had to self-isolate, St John's found that they were struggling to keep up with the ever-growing demand for their services, whilst all the staff and volunteers that they had available to them were diminishing. And so they faced a real challenge here, and the Microsoft team and I worked with the data experts at St John to think about how we could try and implement something that would help them combat this. And the real challenge they faced was that the time to insight was an issue. And so we looked at building a dynamic reporting platform using Power BI to be able to help them get to much faster time to insight, so that they could provide daily updates to the leadership team on which areas were struggling for volunteers, which areas were looking okay for volunteers compared to the demand in different areas, and then really start to match up the demands and supply, and be able to further their efficient resource allocation. And so the results were just incredible, and I was very proud to have played my small part in helping an amazing organisation like St John make such a difference to their community. But the best thing for me, and the thing that fills me with confidence and optimism about working on solutions like this, is that when this pandemic is long gone, St John will still have these capabilities, and they'll be able to think about how they then start to build on that capability and think about what's next, and hopefully emerge from the situation, from the pandemic, actually stronger and more agile and able to respond to these types of incidents than they were before. So hopefully I'm taking away really, really positive there from how St. John have reacted. My tip really, it comes down to working with a huge variety of non-profit organisations on a daily basis. I really see firsthand how much time and effort and genuine care goes into building capabilities that are specifically designed to build stronger relationships and grow their relationships with donors and volunteers like yourselves. So by reciprocating that effort and that care, we can really start to make a difference. So I'd urge you, if there's a cause that is particularly close to your heart, now more than ever is the time to show your appreciation and support for that cause, and get in touch with them, because by having this dialogue and reaching out to them and playing your part in building the relationship with the organisation, you might uncover opportunities to help them that you didn't previously know were available, and perhaps they fit to how you would like to be able to support that organisation more than you originally realised. So please do get in touch with those organisations. They need your support, and the relationship will continue to grow from there. So thank you all very much for listening. Please do put some questions in the Q&A. I'd be happy to try and answer. And back over to you, Dux.
Thank you, Sam. Awesome story. And so for our last story, I want to share what McLean Bible Church in the Washington, D.C. area is doing to help provide relief and food in the greater Washington, D.C. and how technology is helping them.
We do 400 boxes of groceries, so today we have two. One here at Rockview, one at Summit Hall, and Summit Hall is just as busy as us. But then tomorrow we have Copper Mill, Thursday Bears Mill, Friday Harmony Hills, and it's just we get to serve the community, love on the people. That's been a blessing during the pandemic, just to meet the people, pray for them, care for their needs. So that's what we're doing.
When the coronavirus hit, we were able to really quickly expand what we had, and now we're able to serve between 9,000 and 10,000 families a week.
We do 400 boxes.
So just to provide people context, so McLean Bible Church is a church in the Metro Washington, D.C. area. And in the past, prior to the COVID pandemic, they did have a service where they offered meals and food to underprivileged areas in Washington, D.C. So when the pandemic hit, the needs were much more due to people losing their jobs, and also families that may have people who have got infected by COVID. So fast forward to today, McLean Bible Church serves over 10,000 families in Metro Washington, D.C. weekly. Thus far, they've distributed 5.5 million pounds of food, packed over 160,000 boxes or 3.2 million meals, and there's about 25,000 volunteer hours donated. So as you may imagine, this is a lot of great work, but a lot of behind the scenes logistics and coordination effort that's needed. So similar to other nonprofit, the IT team at McLean Bible Church is very small. I think it's just 2 people, but they relied on a lot of the Microsoft cloud technologies to be able to support this initiative. So in the screen, you're seeing one of the Microsoft Power Automate workflow that they did, where they're leveraging Microsoft Teams to take in all the requests. If there's even a request for home delivery for some of these relief goods, this is just one example. They also use Power Apps for a lot of the health check for the volunteers. When people want to volunteer, they want to make sure everybody's safe. So they have a COVID-19 app that they created using Power App. And also they take advantage of Teams meeting for a lot of the huddles that they do. So certainly technology is central, and it's key to enable organizations like McLean Bible Church to continue to serve their local community. So what can you do? So one of the quick wins, as Sam mentioned and all of my friends mentioned today, is there's a lot of need out there for nonprofits. Serve at local food banks, shelters, and related nonprofits. Certainly, it'll be great if we can contribute our tech skills to support them. But even if there's no tech-related needs, I believe that we can all help in different ways. So certainly look at your community, look at all the nonprofits around that you can support. Another idea is encourage your user group to adopt a local nonprofit. So a lot of you watching right now, you're part of a local tech user group or a meetup group. Maybe solicit the idea and look for a nonprofit that may need help around tech, like what Mario has done for the nonprofit, building a project transparency dashboard or upgrading their systems to provide more automation using Power Apps. So look at a nonprofit and make it a team effort with your user group to support them. Lastly, consider providing your products or services for free. So a lot of us are privileged to be working in the tech space. Other than the time we provide, the effort, if you have some tech product or tech solution that can certainly be taken advantage of by nonprofits, certainly they would welcome that. And if you're wondering how you do this or do this in an organized way, check out an organization called TechSoup. TechSoup can help you provide your software to a lot of nonprofits based on certain criteria around the world. And they'll help take care of licensing, they'll help take care of the fulfillment of the software as well. So hopefully this gave everybody a glimpse around the world of what a lot of us are doing and how we're helping and providing support to our local community and nonprofits. I'd like to take this time and answer questions. So I don't see the screen of the Q&A because I only have a single screen. Anybody, can you read out some of the questions and we'll be more than happy to address it?
Or do you want me to read?
Yes, go ahead, Mario.
Oh, let me take a look here.
Yeah.
There are a couple of questions. So
awesome.
Jimmy.
Okay.
Often non-profits have some very motivated employees. Do you ever have concerns about hourly employees using technology to work remotely when they are off the clock? This is an issue I am currently encountering with Teams and other programs usage.
I'd be happy to answer it. So to me, it depends, right? I think since a lot of these people, especially volunteers, are doing it on their off hours, personally, I don't see an issue if they're using the technology for the purpose of trying to meet and address a certain goal. Now, if they're using the technology for other reasons, then that can cause some concern. But if they're using it for the purpose of putting together a solution or talking about what to do around the project, I feel that that's a great enabler for everybody to collaborate and communicate, especially with tools like Teams.
Yeah. And also you can control that in the admin panel.
Mm-hmm.
So you can block access to email after hours and after Teams. So you can control that.
Great point.
Another question here. We have another question Xing already answered, but I think it's a great question. For local nonprofits that may use Office 365, how expensive would it be to implement Power Platform? Does Microsoft offer donated tax sometimes? So Xing already answered. Microsoft offers nonprofit donations through TechSoup. So you just have to register at TechSoup and you can receive free Azure credits. If I'm not mistaken, is $3,000, 500. And you have donated Office 365 E1, 2,000 licenses. And the other services are very subsidized. So we have Project Online, for example, it's 10% of the cost. Power Platform, I believe, is the same. So let me find another question here. John, do we have time?
Yeah.
2 minutes?
We can take 1-2 more questions, absolutely.
Assuming you are using Microsoft 365, how do you handle accounts for the people served by the nonprofit as opposed to employees and volunteers? We provide classes in ESL, computers, and citizenship for recent immigrants and would like to use Teams. I was thinking about guest accounts, and does this seem reasonable? Does it affect license?
Great question. So I can definitely answer that. So the good thing is for that purpose, for teaching, for example, like if you want to do training or classes, the students don't need a Microsoft account. So what you could do with a Teams live event, for example, you can set it up in a way where the public can watch it. The other point there is if you want to do some kind of collaboration, for example, you're working on a project, you have nonprofit employees and volunteers. You can enable guest accounts or external access in Teams as well, and you can collaborate certainly without needing for them to have licenses. So those capabilities are there, and with today's announcements at Ignite, there's more enhanced capabilities around external sharing, making it more secure. So it's a really compelling platform for nonprofits to take advantage of.
Jason, what could my organization do to learn to utilize Power Apps from Microsoft? We do not have any resident developers, only infrastructure people.
So, Foyen, did you want to take that? Who can learn Power Platform, Power Apps? Do they need to be developers?
No, certainly not. I actually currently sit in the infrastructure team where I work in Sterling Bank. So you really don't have, I have zero development skills. I've never written a single line of code in my entire career life. So all you need to do, like Xing has said, go to Microsoft Learn. And Microsoft Learn has tracks for beginner, intermediate level, and the advanced level. So you can start off from the beginner track also, and then you can also go to aka.ms/powerup. I'll put that in the chat window, and then just start learning. And the best part is you can put a tweet out there and hashtag Power Addicts. We're all over the world, always ready to help anyone who's stuck. Once you hashtag Power Addicts, you find someone out there to help you and support you on your learning journey.
Awesome. Do you have another one, Mario? We can take last one.
All right, let me just check here. So Steve, working with a nonprofit, Welcome Home Haiti, building homes, providing medical care, education for Northern Haiti. We had to abandon the country during the pandemic and struggling to stay in touch, looking for better connectivity, consistent electricity, computer management, and telemedicine solution. Anyone at Microsoft working with solutions mentioned above? Well, I don't know if it's an easy question to answer because we have the software, but you also need the infrastructure. So, yeah.
Yeah, there are. I'll find the link. I was reading somewhere in Tech Community. So if you're not familiar, make sure you go to Microsoft Tech Community. There are conversations around, best addressing low bandwidth or infrastructure that may need, or situations where you may need offline type of syncing. I've seen postings around that, but definitely for those type of need, like remote telemedicine or being able to keep in touch with folks out there, Teams can certainly help. Well, boy, hopefully this has been beneficial to everybody. We're so grateful that you joined us today. Here's our contact info. Don't be a stranger. Look us up on LinkedIn, connect with us on Twitter. If you have more questions, we'd be more than happy to address your questions and get to know you and really how we can help your nonprofit as well. So with that, enjoy the rest of Microsoft Ignite, and don't forget, go to Tech Community, sign up to be a part of Humans of IT. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.